Hello, plant friends. So 2 years ago, we visited Jack and Christy Babcock. They are SoCal Tropics on Instagram, and they were one of the first and most influential plant tours and interviews on this channel. Now, 2 years later, Jack recently passed, and Christy invited us back to talk about his passing, some of the mental health challenges that he faced, and to bring awareness to mental health issues in our community. After his passing, she had to significantly downsize their collection to make it more manageable now that, it's just her. So in this episode, she shows us some of the plants that she has left, especially the variegated monsteras that were, so near and dear to Jack and Christy's heart. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
It starts, pretty much everything I kept, other than there's just a couple green form of things, but like the sport golden pothos.
Oh yeah.
That people.
Right.
This is a sported golden pothos, and people say, no, it's not. It's a snow queen or a marble queen. I said, no. It's an actual golden pothos. There's the golden pothos leaf.
It was funny because, I think the first time, last time I came, you guys were just really trying to isolate this.
Yes. See, it's just golden pothos, but it's sporty.
It's amazing that you guys have. This is incredible.
I'm gonna let her grow. And then we kept some of the.
Has it ever reverted back once it gets to something like this?
No, when they revert that much, white in the variegation, I don't see it happening now. Sometimes when it's more of the green, I see that it keeps touches of the white, but it's got the golden pothos still.
See, this reminds me of what happens when my variegated Albo gets this white. It always stays this white, and it really annoys me.
Yeah, that's one of Jack's favorite. Everybody says, where did you get these? And he would go to the wholesalers, and he would go through hundreds. He said he must have gone through hundreds of thousands of golden pothos and maybe found a total over 2 seasons, which is, 2 years worth. I think he found a total of maybe 10 out of hundreds of thousands of golden pothos. That's how rare it is for Jack to find these. He had the eye. If there was ever somebody who had an eye for sports, I'd be walking with him. I'd walk right past it, and he'd be going, come back here. And I'd go, he goes, you just walked right by it. I said, yeah, I did. He'd just see the tiniest little plant that sported. And he just had that eye. Our original eBay plant that in 2007 I was one of the first sellers of the small form. I guess they changed the name. It was Borsigiana, and now it's the small form Monstera deliciosa. Yeah. And this one's more of my sectored.
This wasn't that popular. I think Thai constellations were a little bit more popular back then.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just one of the few.
And this one, I think, is the sectored ones,
yes,
as opposed to the marble one, is much harder to find these days.
Well, one thing that we did find is,
oh my goodness,
eventually it can, lose its sectored look, and because again, chimera variegation, this isn't the same plant, but it can eventually go back to being more like this.
Oh, more marble?
Yeah. So it's not just because everybody will say, I want a sectored one. Well, we could sell you a current one that looks like that, but there's no guarantee as it grows that it'll continue.
Yeah, but this one's
pretty heavily.
Nice.
Yeah. People wanted that one when I was selling the plants. I'm like, no, she was one of Jack's favorites. So I
feel like once you cut back something like this, there's a chance that you lose how good it is.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, she'll never be cut unless she starts doing something different.
Right. Yeah, I think
I'm just gonna let her climb all over the place.
Which is I think is different when you get a marbled Alba like this and you cut it. I think it's fine because
generally it'll stay.
Yeah, but I think once you have isolated something this nice, cutting something like this is dangerous. It's risky.
I won't do it.
Yeah.
And then we've got the mint. Why I say mint is it's well known in the commercial industry as mint monstera. It's annoyed. It's hasn't been properly identified yet. And we're finding with people say, well, mine isn't as minty, but again, it just depends on the layer of the variegation. Sometimes it can look more like
an Albo.
It just depends on where you see some of the mint layering here and more mint down here. Her original leaf was more like this, but she eventually started doing this.
Yeah. What do you think about? I mean, yeah, because this leaf really does have Albo vibes, right? Whereas like a leaf like this, especially like a leaf like this one, has very mint vibes. I always tell people to be very cautious about who they buy their mints from.
Yes.
I know it's a lot more available these days.
Yes.
But still, it's I mean, think about this. When you take a look at this, like, looks so much like an Albo, right? Like a lot of Albos look very similar to
Absolutely.
this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I always say like you either have to like look at the mother plant or you kind of have to get it from a super reliable source.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely on that one.
Because it's hard to get plants from the original sources of these nowadays. They're just people are busy.
And we got more different kind, more of the marbled small form. In here.
Oh, let's talk about these little whatever these things are.
Oh, the steaks.
steak.
Two of the biggest questions that we had from our series with you was, where did you get the steaks, the plant steaks? Okay.
That's so funny. Is that's the question?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Most of all I would say Michael's Craft Store.
Oh.
And they come in natural blonde, so you can stain them any color. I mean, if you like pink, you can stain them pink. Yeah. So they come in different sizes. They come in smaller and then the tall.
And what exactly are they?
I'm not sure what kind of tree they came from.
So they are
Maybe
natural wood.
willow?
They are natural wood.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
Do they rot?
It takes a long time,
Okay.
several years, but
Right.
yeah, I just let them break off under the soil and I just stick them in there. The second question that we had from the series was the tall pots. Lowe's.
Okay.
Got these at Lowe's. But those were the two biggest questions that Jack and I
Oh
kept
my
getting.
gosh, that's so funny because I did not. I mean, I noticed how big your pots were, but I never really noticed the stakes. I like the look for sure. Now I know why people are asking. It looks so natural.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I've stained them different colors. Like this one has more of the lighter brown, and then I went to more of the espresso color.
And you like these stakes or stalks or whatever just to help your plants climb.
Yeah, more for support than like grabbing onto something.
Yeah.
I know people make those coco core
Yeah.
and different kind of sphagnum poles. That's more for the roots to kind of adhere to, where these are more for support.
Right. Yeah. So you don't have any of these guys that we're looking at with moss poles.
No.
Super nice. Has your potting medium or anything changed since we last talked?
No, we have a heavy perlite and we have regular yellow bag Miracle Grow, and I do about 40% of the Miracle Grow potting soil, the yellow bag from Home Depot or Lowe's, and then additional perlite about 60%, and you just mix super well. And everything flourishes in there. And I mean, every kind of plant, even ferns that we have planted and Hoyas, they're all in the same medium.
Is the moss on top decorative or?
It is decorative.
Okay.
I also, at the time, we had the cats that would get in there. So that deterred for a little bit until they could figure out how they could push them aside. So I found these little black spike things that I could lay on top of there. But everybody says, yeah, my cat gets my plant. So.
These plants right now have a little bit less light than what they used to have.
Yes, I have a grow light that I turn on right here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and I turn them on cloudy days, or normally I have the front door open so it gives even more light. But they're still doing very well here. Yeah.
I remember Jack was so excited about showing off his
Oh,
monsteras.
he wanted to. There's more in here, so I started. This is the Adansonii that everybody is now finding out about. We've had her, I want to say, for 4 years.
This thing.
Yes, and see the new leaf. What it can do is it gets like I want to say frost look.
Yeah, I would say
A frost,
yeah.
and it can go like a darker frosty where it's the leaves, and then it can throw white like the white monster. So I had somebody just buy a top cutting and we held it on its side where you can see it from down below with the white leaf, the frost, and the darker leaf. I've never seen anything. It was just gorgeous. She was like, oh my God, I have to plant it where I can see it from the top. Because when you held it like a bouquet, it was just so unique. Like this one's coming in pretty white.
I'm looking at this. I've seen pictures of something like this, and I was never really impressed about it. I was like, oh, that just looks dirty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely looks really, really unique.
Yeah.
I would say that a lot of other plants with similar characteristics have been called frost.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's
It's
definitely
more.
different.
It's also different than the well-known commercial that everybody knows, mint, the Noid. This is another Noid that stays more small form, Borsigiana-like growth. We've had her longer than the well-known mint Noid, and she stays small. The stem stays smaller, the leaves stay smaller. So it's another Noid that's. I mean, there's so many Noids that are starting to appear because people are searching them out.
Yeah.
And so there's just so many that I don't know who was it, the Airway Society? I'm not sure who IDs all of these monsteras that are popping up.
I don't know anyone. I think people are just giving it fancy
Sales
sounding
names,
names.
commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wow,
Yeah.
wow. This is.
Yeah. I can't wait for this one to open. People are saying, well, if it gets this white growth, does it eventually start getting this again? And yes, it does. Because we've had a couple that came out pure white, and then eventually it'll start frosting again like that.
Oof, yeah, I mean
It's super cool.
I mean the frost is very impressive. It gives me a lot of like white monster vibes.
Doesn't it? It does to me too. But I know that the white monster is the large form, and I know this isn't. So this is kind of like I would say where you have the white variegated large form, you have the white variegated small form deliciosas. That's kind of the same to me. Is this compared to the mint?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive. Like I think being here, if I just saw a picture of this, I'd be like, But I mean, you have this plant and it has what, 4, 5 leaves? 1, 2, yeah.
And a sixth on the
3, yep, 4, 5 consistent frosted leaves. I mean, it's hard to argue against that. Wowzers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got the Aurea variegated.
I'm so glad people
Borsigiana
are.
small form.
Into that now.
Yeah, they do burn more easily than the white, but that's part of it. You love the plant regardless. And I've got more in here, the Aurea variegated.
Yeah.
More of the marbled Borsi small form.
And I think when you have as many plant specimens and plants as you have, you definitely appreciate the forms. Like the size of this, like these are really small compared to the really large mints that we saw.
And this is another thing that Jack was very proud of is our giant Adansonii.
Yeah, your Adansonii collection is impressive.
All the leaves, how big they are. And they're not even climbing yet. So I always say, could you imagine if this was in Hawaii climbing on a tree?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, it would just be as big as a bus.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, this would be on the ground, but as soon as it got towards the top of the tree.
This is,
Look at it did throw, they do throw green ones. People panic. Oh my God, it's all white leaf and all green leaf. But no, it just goes back and forth.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to find even regular Adansonii with leaves that big.
Jack was so excited when that one, it just was a fluke thing. It came out from a second node underneath the soil from our original mother stock, and it just came out with this giant leaf, its first leaf right from the soil, and we're going, what? But some genetic fluke decided to do its thing, so we're trying to focus on that.
Christy, one of the questions I've been meaning to ask you, since you have so many variegated Adansonii, like now there's like Aurea mint. Is that like a thing? I always thought it was a white.
There is a yellow variegated form. I'm seeing it's more like a green on green though.
Okay.
Occasionally it'll throw a stronger yellow, but it's almost like an apple green on a green. And then the one that people are calling mint is from Indonesia. And those are man-made variegation on those. The variegation though is permanent from what we're finding as the plant grows, but it's not like a natural
Okay.
variegation, on those. But I'm assuming that obviously the green on green or slash Aurea variegated Adansonii is a sport that happens somewhere.
Okay, because I mean these have yellow tints, but these are just regular.
I would
Re-
say these are
regular Adansonii.
from Kanzo in Japan about 4 years ago, and we're kind of calling them a tricolor now because they can either have the stark white, a cream, or a yellow. It can vary on the variegation.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know if all these names are making it. The purpose of all these names are for identification versus sales pitching. You know,
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I really do feel.
that's what I feel too.
Yeah.
So is this a tricolor? What is this?
Yes,
So
all
give
of
me this.
our variegated Adansonii are from Kanzo original stock, and they're all considered just the tricolor from him.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the mints, and I'm like, I don't. It just looks low.
Yeah, they're more like somebody spilt or splashed variegation on them, and they're not as sectored on their variegation.
Very, very impressive.